Welcome back. You're watching Newsx. My name is Vineet Malhotra. Prime Minister Modi on Sunday used his monthly Mann Ki Baat address to highlight the wider impact of the ongoing conflict in West Asia, cautioning citizens about emerging global challenges while urging calm and collective responsibility. Prime Minister Modi also urged people to remain united and avoid any kind of panic, stressing the importance of responsible behavior during uncertain times. He cautioned against the spread of rumors and misinformation which could create unnecessary anxiety and complicate the situation further. Moreover, India has extended emergency support to Sri Lanka during the global fuel crisis, delivering 38,000 metric tons of petroleum. The fuel aid also followed discussions between Prime Minister Modi and Sri Lankan President Dissanayake as the island nation faced shortages linked to disruptions caused by the Iran war. The fuel reached Colombo harbour on 29th of March via Lanka. Well, this assistance follows a similar support extended by India to Bangladesh during the ongoing crisis. Moreover, two LPG carriers, the BW-TYR and the BW-ELM, carrying a combined LPG cargo of about 94,000 tons, have safely transited the region and are moving towards Indian shores. Well, as the situation develops, it's important to understand what's at stake and what should India expect in the next few days. We'll discuss this and get a perspective from our notable guest. Joining us on the show is Dr. Sharat Kohli, senior economist. Also with us is Major General Dhruv Katoch, defense expert. Ambassador Gauri Shankar Gupta, former diplomat, also joins us. And last but by no means the least, Commander Bhushan Dewan, defense expert and former Navy officer, joins us on the program as well. Thank you, gentlemen, for being a part of this conversation. Dr. Kohli, I'll begin with you. Well, India is a good neighbor, and that's what you pray for. Having good neighbors, regardless of our situation with Bangladesh, our relationship with Sri Lanka is pretty intact, and it will always be. India is being a good neighbor. But taking a leaf out of what the Prime Minister said, that there is no need to panic. There have been rumors swirling on social media and normal media as well, Dr. Kohli, that a lockdown situation could prevail. There could be rationing of petroleum, only necessary services will be allowed. What have you picked up in terms of where we are right now economically and where we are in terms of our strategy when it comes to dealing with the crisis in West Asia? Dr. Kohli.
Good evening, Beneath, to you, my fellow panelists and the viewers. I think the situation is very evolving. Well, all the lockdown rumors are, I don't know where they came from and how they came from. This wasn't COVID, where you would be prevented to step out and maintain that 2 meters of distance or whatever. I don't know why this was related to COVID. What Prime Minister simply said is the way we stood together during COVID, which was a global crisis, I think we should all stand together. That's what he meant. And I think from COVID came lockdown, from lockdown came rumors, and from rumors came all the nonsense which was seen later. Well, I think this crisis is totally different from COVID in more ways than one. Well, this is an energy crisis on two fronts. One, of course, is the supply. And two is on the cost, on the pricing. I don't think there is a supply crisis right now. There was a bit of a gas issue, which India has pretty much sort of resolved, and we've come out of that. We've stayed out of that, despite that the fact that the world has been facing severe supply disruptions. Well, India has managed to maintain those supplies. Our tankers are flowing through Strait of Hormuz. We are amongst few of those countries which Iran is allowing, the tankers are being allowed through Strait of Hormuz. So that's, so there's this, as of now, as we speak today, I'd like to qualify that, there seems to be no problem. All the Prime Minister has been saying that the situation of war, what he also means is very evolving. As of today, we are fine. The second and the bigger problem on the economic front, Vineet, is the pricing. Because the crude oil prices have shot through the roof. In fact, today when I was watching, it is $114 now. Now, India gets a crude basket. Now, if you take that basket price, it crosses $160 because India takes from various sources. There's Algeria, there is Venezuela, there are a lot of places, plus the refining cost, the shipping cost, the insurance cost. So effective cost of crude for India is far more than what you see online on the internet or on the MCX or on the comics. So I think that is putting a bit of an economic strain on the country, although we've ramped up the production, but there is only as much we can do because this is something which is not entirely produced in India. 87% of our crude is imported, about 60% of the gas is imported. So I feel, Vineet, that the bigger problem lies in the pricing, not the supply at this point of time. And this could fuel inflation in the times to come because if we continue to buy, although government has reversed that excise duty on petrol and diesel, but then if it continues to move up, there'll be a cascading and a rippling effect on all commodities because at some point the oil marketing companies will have to take a call because their bottom lines are bleeding. So if they start bleeding badly, of course, they will have to pass it on to people. That would be inflation. And already not just crude oil and gas, Vineet. There's a lot of import which is getting expensive, fertilizers, industries related to energy, paints, chemicals, a lot of the electronics. You can start seeing some shortages here and there, and not just imports, by the way. Even exports are impacted. A lot of ships are stuck at the ports where fruits and vegetables which were being exported from India to the Middle East, they have been thrown in the sea because they're perishable. So I think the crisis is evolving. The situation in the war is very uncertain. We'll have to wait and watch. As for helping the neighborhood is concerned, well, India has got always that policy in the forefront, which is called neighborhood first. Now, despite the fact a lot of people are saying that we are struggling to maintain our supplies in India, and how can India afford to give away some of the energy resources? Well, the fact of the matter is when the Prime Minister takes a decision or the government takes the decision to help the neighbors, obviously you look at your own reserves first. And we have looked at our reserves. Our reserves are fine. And being a good neighbor in the times of crisis is when the neighborhood is tested. So I don't think people need to panic. No rumors need to be spread. And I think opposition has to play a very constructive part here. I saw opposition. I mean, I've been parts of dozens and dozens of debates, Vineet, over the last few couple of weeks, where opposition has been coming with all sorts of allegations. And I had a very important point to make that when voting happens, we find all karyakartas or the workers of the political party standing in the voters' queue, somebody making the slip, somebody monitoring the queue, somebody making sure no double vote is done, and so on and so forth. What I fail to understand is, why couldn't these political parties come forward, their karyakartas, so-called karyakartas or workers? They could have come in the forefront and monitored things at the gas distribution centers where black marketing or hoarding was happening. If that was the case, then probably we wouldn't have faced this problem. So I think it's a collective effort which is needed. In terms of war, every citizen becomes a soldier, Vineet.
Okay, fair enough. Good analysis there. General Katoch, coming to you. So how are you looking at the situation? The prospects of this war, getting further and blowing up even more are getting higher and bigger by the minute. We're learning that the Americans are sending about 50,000 troops, to guard the borders, the coastal borders of Iran. We're also learning that intelligence is being supplied by Russia and China to Iran. And we're also learning that the doctrine that Iran had when it came to no first usage of their nuclear weapons is under review. And they have about 410 to 430 kg of enriched uranium, sir, which can be used in dirty bombs as well. So is this a situation which is pivotal in terms of how India understands it and what it does about it?
Thank you, Vineet. Vineet, first let me address the issue of the dirty bomb. Now, the way I look at it is, I don't think Iran will be foolish enough to use it. It is already in a weakened state, and should they go down that path, then they are inviting a nuclear retaliation, which will finish them completely. I think the Ayatollah and his group, or the ruling clique there, they'll be more responsible than that, not because they love the world more, but because they love themselves as much as they love anybody else. So I personally am not too much concerned as of now about the nuclear threat. One. Number two, as far as the oil situation is concerned, you see, I agree with Dr. Kohli. The supply side is not a major issue now. But unfortunately, you see, it is always hanging on your head. We don't know when that supply line will get disrupted. And the important point is, again, I agree with Dr. Kohli, do not panic. what happens is if you start panicking and start hoarding, then that will lead to a ripple effect, which will lead to a very quick breakdown. And then all holds, you see, people are going to play a very, very dirty game. We are going to get back to the COVID days when people started hoarding oxygen. If that had not been done, there was adequate availability for all. Once you start hoarding and everybody says, okay, I will bear a little bit of pain, things change. So this question of a sensible polity, a sensible public, the first thing we need to do is this hoarding business must go. And one of the things which should come out into the petrol pumps is no gasoline should be given to anybody in a container. That should be a big no-no. Either you fill the car or it's out. At some point of time, if this crisis continues, the prices are going to go up. There is no way in which this government or any other government can prevent a price hike. I think we have to be prepared for that shock. The ripple effects onto many other commodities is going to be there. So it is not going to be an easy year for India, 2026. Neither will 2027 be a easy year. I think things may stabilize by about 2028. The best we can hope for is that this war finishes as early in May as possible. In my own assessment, I think it is going to go that way. The very fact that that Iran has agreed to talks with the United States shows it is under pressure. The Chinese are not very comfortable with the war continuing. Neither are the Russians. Neither are the Americans. So as of now, it doesn't benefit anybody. All that people are looking for is an honorable face-saving exit. I think if the Americans are magnanimous and say we have won the war and we are stopping, Iran will follow suit. But somebody has to
What
take the
about
lead.
Israel, sir? What about Israel? Isn't this an opportunity for Israel to get rid of Iran? They will never find this opportunity again.
No, I'm afraid, you see, even for Israel, the problems are immense now because what they had to achieve should have been done within the first 3 to 4 days. Once the war prolongs, even Israel is feeling the pressure. They may want it to go on. I don't think they can. The best that Israel can hope for now is to hit out at the Hezbollah and eliminate them from Lebanon. Once that threat is over, a weakened Iran cannot pressure them again. Vineet.
All right. Ambassador Gauri Shankar Gupta, in fact, the Iranians have heard from the Americans, but what they said was whether we respond to the Americans, we're not sure. So far, it seems from the news that's coming out from the ground is that it's Iran that is feeling victorious. It's not the Americans. In fact, one of the AVACs, as General Katoch and Commander Diwan would also know, was destroyed in Saudi Arabia just a day ago. So obviously, when it comes to the moral higher ground or even the strategic higher ground, Iran is at the top of this equation right now. And the Americans just don't seem to be comprehending that.
Good evening, Vineet. You see, you are absolutely right when you are saying that situation is becoming very complex, complicated. I agree with you that Iran has nothing more to lose. They have already lost. There has been a lot of destruction. Perhaps their nuclear installations are also destroyed. Maybe their, the plants which are manufacturing missiles are also destroyed. Now they have nothing more to lose. They have gained, Strait of Hormuz, which was not theirs earlier. They are using it fully. They want to get out of NPT, and then that would really cause a problem to the, at the global scale. They are also capable of destabilizing the entire GCC states. The GCC states have seen the Iranian might now, and they know that with the small population and more or less the city states, a few missiles here and there could destabilize their economy and also their leadership. So the GCC states are very, very scared. Iran is facing them bravely, but I don't know how much, because Iran is also, Israel is facing them bravely, but Israel is also having some problem because they have shortage of, armed force, manpower in the armed forces. I was told that they are looking for 70,000 more soldiers, and they are not able to find them so far. So, and there was some protest today in Israel against the war. USA, there were huge protests all around. Approximately, I believe, 11 million people gathered in US and Europe together to protest against the war. So President Trump is under tremendous pressure. And President Trump's armed forces are also under pressure. There was an attack on Abraham Lincoln earlier, and now the AWACS, particularly in Saudi Arabia, their base has been, damaged considerably. In addition, if US brings the ground forces, I'm absolutely confident that they will have miserable time because the Iranians on the ground will not tolerate them, and there will be a lot of killings, a lot of bloodshed on the ground. So on the whole, the situation is very complicated. There's a question of honorable exit. US doesn't have an honorable exit because if the US exits like this, then Iran will be emboldened. The Gulf states don't want to have exit right now because they will be completely vulnerable to Iranian domination afterwards. Israel obviously wants to finish off Hezbollah and Houthis and to the extent possible the Iranian remaining nuclear installations. And so far as the Iran is concerned, they don't want to compromise. They feel they have shown their might, their resilience is strong, and Iran is under the control of IRGC now. All the policy decisions are taken by IRGC. They are very fundamentalist and very aggressive people. At the top, I don't know, the new Iranian supreme leader has not been seen since he became. Only one or two messages came from him, but people are not sure how his health is. So far as the Speaker of the Iranian Parliament and the President and the Foreign Minister are concerned, I don't know whether they are competent enough to take a decision and then enforce it over IRGC, because IRGC is very, very strong body. So situation remains very complicated. The honorable exit doesn't seem to be in sight. And at the same time as the two previous, speakers mentioned, the economic crisis is deepening, particularly the oil prices and also other supply. For example, aluminium smelters. There are two big smelters which have been attacked by Iran, one in UAE and another in Bahrain. And then there are, Oman is one of the biggest producer of helium. Now that will also be in short supply. There are many other inputs which are required from the oil and gas industry for variety of chemicals and other industries. So all those supply lines will also be impacted, and this is not going to impact only India but other countries globally. Russia is also threatening, I don't know whether the decision is final, to stop crude supply for 4 months. If that decision is true, then obviously the crude oil prices will jump further. So all these things are making things very complicated globally. Economic situation will worsen, and I do not see an early end to this war because there is no honorable exit for anybody. Those who have honorable exit, they don't want to exit at all. Over to you, Vineet.
You're right about that, sir. Commander Diwan, what do you think is going on in Donald Trump's mind, taking a leaf out of what Ambassador Gupta also said? An honorable exit is perhaps a window that Iran may not allow the Americans at this point in time, because they're very sure of their competitiveness, they're very sure of their terrain. This is the same mistake that the Americans made in Afghanistan and in Vietnam as well.
Yes. See, after the tankers war of 1980 to 88, Iranians have learnt it, and they have become past master at asymmetric warfare and guerrilla warfare, and they are not going in for, they're going in for swarm of speedboats to control Strait of Hormuz, major submarines, mines, and so on, and they have proven their effectiveness on this. In the tankers war, that time the Strait of Hormuz was closed only to the extent of 2%. This time it has been closed to the extent of 95%. In the normal times, out of Strait of Hormuz, roughly 150 ships pass per day, 44,000 ships per month, per year, and now per month, and now only about 5%, about 200 ships have passed Strait of Hormuz. So I'm not certain. Can America withdraw now? They'll have a very bad face to show. They cannot. Does Russia want to stop the war? I don't think so. Russia is happy. Mr. Trump and Mr. USA, you made us feel the pinch through arming Ukraine. Now you have come under our thumb. Let it go on. Economic reason. Russia is one of the largest producers of oil, as big as Saudi. So their oil increases, their economy gets boost. Every $10 increase in per barrel means $25 billion more to their kitty. And China, again, I'm not certain China also wants the war to stop, though China is a very big consumer of oil from Iran also. Why? Because China would rather like to see America engaged and entangled in low intensity warfare with Iran at least for the next 5-6 months. So June, July, August, out of those 3 months, 2 months are the times when the Taiwan straits between China mainland and Taiwan is ideal for landing an attack. So even that they may be looking for this option. So, and Saudi, the Sunni Muslim king of Khalifa of the Muslim world, would like to see Iran broken totally. That has not happened. Israel, for their existential threat, would like to see Iran broken totally. Now that's not happening. America doesn't want to withdraw, and this is all drama. You know this trying to have through Pakistan mediation. Iran has joined because they don't want to be seen as abstaining from talking. But they are not letting down on their guard and letting down their on hitting the countries around, hitting the naval bases around, hitting the naval assets around. And totally America is exposed. Why? They have jumped into the fray without proper planning. They run out of Tomahawks, they run out of interceptor missiles. They are, incrementally, suddenly they are pushing now ground forces. Now, ground forces, as you rightly mentioned about Vietnam and Afghanistan, why I think Mr. Trump is taking a gamble. Because in the domestic audience, the global audience, he wants to say that we are still fighting. We will overcome Iran. So I am now sending ground troops. But ground troops, Iran, we don't understand. Iran is half the size of India. Such a big country it is. It's 4 times the size of Iraq. And 9 crore population and mountainous regions. And their arms are hidden in caves and on the coast and the mountainous areas. And they can't be destroyed by America. So on the ground, and 6 lakhs Artish, regular army, 2 lakhs IRGC. America will have a very tough time, body bags going back. What is happening? One more, coming to the economic impact, India imports 2 billion barrels of oil per year. And every $1 increase means burden of $2 billion per year to us. And we import our cost is around $140 billion per year is our import cost, oil cost, out of $450 billion total imports of everything from all over the world. 1/3 is on oil. And now, at least you can imagine if the war goes on for 3 months. Clearly, you have, and the price rise about $10 per barrel. Clearly, we are down with about $20 billion, $25 billion. And in terms of GDP, total 0.5% GDP down. Why? GDP is not only about oil costs. Our trade to Gulf is stopped. In Bombay, the containers containing agriculture produce are stuck there. They can't go out. Then, fertilizers are not able to come. Bab el-Shadab going to be blocked by Houthis. Our export and trade with Europe, that is getting blocked.
Right, sir.
So, and the impact will last for good 1 or 2 years. It is not going to be going to go off easily. So the situation will take another 2-3 months before the war stops, if at all.
General Katoch, before we sign off, do you think that the Americans are going to let up? Let's not forget there is a lot of internal pressure on Donald Trump as well. His approval ratings are at its lowest. There are midterms that are approaching. Even NATO allies have more or less snubbed Donald Trump when it comes to a cumulative action against Iran. Do you think that the Americans are going to let up, or is Trump going to make this about his ego?
Very frankly, if I was a betting man, I would place my bets on a ceasefire coming in very early. My analysis, it will come in very early. That is one. Number two, whereas Commander Bhushan, he spoke about Taiwan, I don't see the Chinese attacking Taiwan because they will destroy themselves. There is no way the Chinese can win a naval or an air assault on that mainland. And the missiles from Taiwan will go and hit Beijing. They are not going to take that option. Whatever option they may take, they will never take the military option. I'm hopeful. Let's hope that a peace will come about quickly, hopefully within the next fortnight. That is the way I've looked at it.
Okay, fair enough.
Vineet.
Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us. We've run out of time. Appreciate everybody's point of view. All right, some breaking news to talk about now. Pakistan's military regime